we've seen many AI startups succeed, where bigger and mid and bigger corporations struggle because they're starting with a clean sheet, like they don't have technologies or habits that pre-existed, and they went on forever. As you said, like if something is not broken, why fix it? I'm making a lot of money right now as I'm doing. So these startups, because they had to do something different, and they wanted to like rapidly innovate, they became successful on adopting AI into the products, and then market themselves better than the actual the bigger corporation counterparts that exist into the field. Have you seen any such thing with in the legal sector in the UK?
You mean pure alternative legal service providers?
Yes.
Yes, and I remember doing an interview with one of them. So they were catering to the SME market, the small and medium-sized enterprises, and basically just bypassing the law firm. And this is where the dynamic really gets interesting, because on the one hand, you have alternative legal service providers selling to the actual law firms. And actually, the law firm is a buyer, but also an intermediary in the use of technology. And so they buy the product from the legal tech startup, they use it, and almost like we just on behalf of the client to deliver outcomes for the client. But you also have legal tech providers, as the one that one of the ones that I've interviewed, that are completely bypassing the law firm. So the law firm disappears from the picture as the intermediary. They go directly to the SME and say, look, we can do this contract generation for you. You don't need to go to your lawyer. Maybe you need your lawyer to kind of have a look at it and kind of put that badge of approval and say, yeah, everything is fine. But the activity of the intermediary is very much reduced or completely eliminated. And so this is where the dynamic is really gets interesting, because there is, I would say, the risk, especially in for mid-sized firms, that they disappear from the picture, because currently they are very much intermediaries when it comes to technology. Because if you can get pure startups, as you said, in the legal tech sector that does the same thing, that provides the technology to the market, where do you add value as a law firm? And this is where things start to get complicated. And I would actually like to take the discussion into a new direction where it has to do with business models.
Before we go there, because we've seen in with the setting that you're describing right now, but in different sectors, the pure tech startups at some point like replaced the old model, replaced like the norm. Are you seeing something, a trend that it's gonna happen in the legal or accounting sector, that the pure tech startups are gonna start replacing firms in general?
It's certainly a possibility. What I think that depends on is market appetite for that, and consumer openness to do that, because we've seen the consumers of legal tech services are becoming increasingly tech savvy. So they are exerting pressure on the legal firms to adopt technology themselves. They don't just accept that they're gonna charge them, they're gonna bill them a certain number of hours anymore. They know that technology can do things more efficiently, and this is again one of the key points, right? So legal services firms make money because they are selling inefficiency. So that they are charging, their incentive is to charge you a certain number of hours, right? But when you get the technology that does things in a few seconds or minutes, that's completely out the window, which again goes back to the idea of how do you rethink the economic models and the business models. But yeah, it is a very real possibility that this might happen. And I think an even more important question is, what does the legal services firm of the future look like in a digitalized world, right? Mm-hmm. That's one of the key questions that I remember was mentioned by one of the most innovative legal services firms in the UK, and that's why they're working towards. Can we, for example, still be a full service legal services firm and provide and be everything to everyone? Or do we have to kind of create niches, narrow down, and become specialized? And that's where the competition will be happening in the future, because everyone very much doubts that you're still going to be able to survive as a full service legal services firms, especially when you have digital and technology taking over, and you have a proliferation of so many startups doing so many different niche things. And I think this is kind of the probably one of the benefits with AI. You still have narrow AI, and this is what you see. The narrow AI in the sense that it doesn't do everything, right? It specializes on a very single function or thing that gets automated. And so you're not at the threat of being completely replaced as a law firm, but you can still adopt that technology within that specific department and specialize the people and upskill them and all of that. But when AI advances and all those different narrow pieces of technology come together, are we going to have a general type AI technology? And if that's the case, what's going to happen with the actual law firm, and how will they have to rethink their structure and the way they operate in order to survive? I think that's one of the key questions.
You can follow Christian on the links in the description below. Reach out to him if you're interested in the next gen PSF project or any of the many things that we discussed today. And I think on top of that, Christian, you have a very interesting webinar coming up in the next couple of days.
Yeah, so we try to keep the conversation going, kind of despite COVID-19, despite the kind of the social distancing. We want to bring people together, and that's being done in conjunction with the Knowledge Transfer Network AI for Services, part of it. So next week in particular, on the 25th of June, we have a webinar on international perspectives of AI adoption in professional services. So I think that would be of real interest because we can actually see, we'll bring people together from across the world to actually talk about what's going on in different parts of the world and potentially how COVID-19 has affected AI adoption. In July, we're going to have people talk about the realities of adopting AI in mid-tier firms specifically. And I know that we're going to have over the summer someone from Ryerson University actually talking about this. So this will be definitely of interest to your Canadian audience.